the Cast Off. This is the #1 recasting on the show, on the internet, where two contestants compete by recasting your favorite actors and movies you love. I'm your host, Craig Price, and tonight we're on an express elevator to hell going down. That's right. Our contestants, Steve Conrick and Carrie Gordon, are recasting Aliens, and I got to show that because we paid good money for it. All right.
That's beautiful.
Isn't it great?
Game over, man. Game over.
Yeah,
game starting.
Game starting, man. Game is starting. So, since we're doing one of the greatest movies of all time, I brought back two of the greatest contestants of all time. Steve Condrick.
When do they show up?
They're going to show up right now. There they are. Steve Condrick and Carrie Gordon. We'll start with, I won't say he's of the two, he's the best, but he is the first. Steve, how's everything I learned from movies? How are you guys doing over there?
Pretty good. How about you guys over at Matinee Heroes?
Well, I do know that normally people try to guess as many Matinee Heroes movies we've done. You like to pick how many people you've actually had on your podcast as cast members. So you like to rub it in a little bit. So
I mean, that may come up. We'll see.
Yeah, it may. It may. Yeah. But and how's your lovely wife doing?
Oh, she's doing great. We actually have a puppy now for about the last 2 weeks. Nice little 6-month-old. Let's just say super mutt. It's like Australian cattle dog and pit bull and husky and all thrown in a blender and a little bit of coon hound. And how do we know that? Because it barks like a hound dog. It's fantastic.
How does it get along with the rats?
Great. And the cats too. Just the cats are still a little skeptical. By the way, his name is Sushi. Doesn't quite fit our Nicolas Cage theme with, Nicolas Cage and Castor Troy and Cameron and Poe, but it'll work.
I thought
Nick Cage likes sushi. He married a sushi waitress, so,
I thought you'd call him the unbelievable and undeniable talent, or whatever that name of that movie was.
If we ever get two animals again, it'll probably be Sailor and Ripley, Wild at Heart, so we'll see.
Well, we'll also move on to the Metal Geeks podcast very own Carrie Gordon. Carrie, you have been doing this podcast since the beginning of time, I think.
Yeah, we actually, Metal Geeks, we just celebrated our 10-year anniversary a couple weeks ago, and been podcasting since 2005 with my other show, MSR Cast. So close to 20 years, 17, almost 18 years now. So yeah, I'm an old hat at this stuff, man.
And absolutely, it's just the video is now something new that you're dealing with. And
yeah, video, especially since the pandemic hit, everybody turned to video, and it's something that we do enjoy. We just don't do it as much.
Yeah, no, I don't enjoy because I have bags under my eyes. I don't have bags. I have like suitcases, so I don't like to see myself. But hey, we've got a show to do. It's all about movies. So let's get to the rules. And I am going to name a character in the movie, and our contestants will recast them with an actor throughout all of time and space. The best choice gets 1 point. I'll be playing along as well, and if they happen to pick my choice, they will get a point. And let's be honest, my point is usually the best choice, so that's a good way to get 2 points. It's happened in the past. Jake Dietz came back from so far behind. It was a big scandal for a long time. Nobody cared. And
I've done it.
Person with the most points wins, because this is America. And if there's a tie, double feature to win. As always, this show is brought to you by Matinee Heroes, and like every September, Alan and I are traveling about. I'll be up in your neck of the woods, Steve, in Utah, and so we have unlocked one of our past Patreon episodes because we don't have a Patreon anymore. That's how well we did on Patreon. It was just too much time and not enough money. So that means we're going to be releasing Patreon episodes whenever we can, and we've got 5 years worth to go. So we are doing April 2002's Ed Wood. So you can head over to matineeheroes.com/subscribe and join the podcast. And you can also hear the exclusive Cast-Off post-game show every Thursday on the audio feed. If you're enjoying the Cast-Off, you can subscribe to the video feed at matineeheroes.com/castoff. Well, stop your grinning and drop your linen. It's time to recast Aliens. Steve, you are going to go first, and we are going to start with one of the biggest heroes of all time, the unbelievably talented Mrs. Ripley. Or Miss Ripley, I guess, Ellen Ripley, played by the extreme goddess that is Sigourney Weaver. So
that's a totally different movie.
Yeah. So Steve, who do you have who could possibly replace Sigourney Weaver?
And you always bring me on for these movies that are already perfectly cast.
That's why it's difficult.
It's always tough. So I have to kind of like do a new vision with it or whatever. Sigourney Weaver's, of course, all-time great. Had to go with another all-time great. African American actress. So I'm of course talking about everybody's favorite Charlize Theron.
That's right. She is from South Africa, African American actress. She's known for being perfect. Yes, she is. She was perfect in Mad Max Fury Road. She was perfect in Atomic Blonde. She won an Oscar, so she was perfect that year from Monster. This is the only hiccup that I had. She was the obnoxious Fox reporter on Bombshell. And then, of course, we saw her as the babyface Charlize back in The Devil's Advocate with Keanu and Al Pacino. So.
Ooh, Craig, speaking of which, when am I coming on Matinee Hero so we can talk about the astronaut's wife?
Probably when we run out of movies. So,
you guys don't have like a Johnny December or something like that?
Yeah, no. We don't have someone who I love the whole case. Yes, she's an awful person, but he's an awful person as well. So it was like, oh, who do we want these two terrible people to win? I don't care. Well, let's move on from that lovely segue and always want to just put an old turd in the toilet bowl there. Thanks a lot. Carrie Gordon, who do you have to replace and compete with Charlize Theron, which is very difficult because she's one of my favorites?
Great. I went with somebody who's a little bit newer to the scene, somebody who is really... Sigourney Weaver is a hard person to have to recast. She's perfect in this role. And I was looking for somebody who's sort of been an action star already, but she's already done these weird little horror movies a little bit. I went with Florence Pugh.
Yes, and don't let the last name fool you. She does not stink at all. She's very good. Not
at all.
She was. I saw someone call her scruffy glamorous, which actually makes sense because she seems like she's the girl next door. She's willing to get her hands dirty, like we saw her in Fighting with My Family, where she played a wrestler, and of course Malevolent in Midsummer, where she's a horror movie. But she can also play she's the new Black Widow, Yelena Belota, Bareshnikov. Whatever her name is. And
nailed it.
Yeah, I know. And she was in...
He practiced that, too.
She was in The Great Little Women. So that's a very good one, too. I like her a lot as well. I think she's coming on strong. So we've got Charlize Theron, Florence Pugh. Yeah, let's not even... There's no mystery. It's Charlize Theron.
But is it Craig's pick?
It is not. I went with Summer Glau.
Oh.
Who I always think looks like Sigourney Weaver, and we know that she can play action and sci-fi, so I figured I'm surprised they have not played mother and daughter in something before.
Right.
So I went with Summer Glau. But this is where I say we do have other judges. We have two other judges, but that was a unanimous pick. We all just absolutely love Charlize Theron. Well, now we get to Michael Biehn as Corporal Hicks, and he takes command once the head guy's killed, and then smartly does whatever Ripley says. So, unlike the first Alien, where the woman kept on telling everybody to do this, do that, and nobody listened and they all died but her, and this one, Michael's like, wait a second, this lady knows what she's doing, and guess who lives? Hicks. So Carrie. What kind of life is it? I know, but Carrie.
Yes.
Who do you have playing Michael Bihn's Corporal Hicks?
I was trying to go somebody, Michael Bihn's great in this role. Somebody who is cool and collective and strong, and somebody that can break into an Elton John song at any time. I went with Taron Egerton.
Ah, yes. Possibly the next Wolverine. He is a triple threat because he can sing, act, and dance. In the Kingsman movie, Eddie the Eagle, Rocket Man. He is the star of the Sing movies, which I didn't know. And was in that Robin Hood with Jamie Foxx that nobody saw.
Well, we watched it.
Well, when I say nobody saw, then we know that it's going to show up on everything I love in her movies.
I saw
That's
it.
right.
Oh, I'm so sorry. God.
I'll join you, Steve.
Oh.
Nice.
Well, I have receipts that I can prove that didn't have it. So, Steve, who do you have to replace Taron Egerton?
Well, again, Michael Biehn, like almost perfect casting. Trying to think of like another kind of, incredibly handsome yet capable, kind of soft-spoken presence. So I went with my namesake, Steve McQueen.
Oh yeah, Steve McQueen. That's when you can't beat the man because he is a legendary man's man from The Great Escape, The Thomas Crown Affair, The Magnificent Seven, the original Blob, Bullet. A movie so great that they actually named a Mustang after him. I saw the limited edition Bullet Mustang a couple years ago in San Jose. It was beautiful.
Yes.
So we've got Taron Egerton, Steve McQueen. Steve coming hard with 2 points right out of the bit because Charlize Theron and Steve McQueen, that is a movie anybody would pay big money to see, especially since Steve McQueen is dead.
Maybe it's the director one. I don't know.
I was going to put that up there as a joke, but I went with Sam Rockwell because I think Sam is one of those guys that can play tough, but he can also play not so tough, and I think he's got that quality that you're looking for, that nice balance.
He could rock it well.
Yeah. Well, next we have Weyland-Yutani's corporate scumbag, Paul Reiser, as Carter Burke, and this guy is a scumbag, but the great thing about Paul Reiser is he's now playing a bunch of scumbags on TV. He's the scumbag in The Boys. He's quasi
Stranger Things.
I was going to say quasi scumbag on the Stranger Things.
Yeah.
I think
Mad About You.
Yeah, Matthew. Yeah, Mad About You. He was the scumbag. Didn't he cheat on Helen Hunt? I think he did in that last season. He cheated on her. That's why they got divorced.
I thought he said feed like a vampire or something.
Yeah.
I didn't see that season, but that could have been good.
Yeah, it wasn't. So, Steve, who do you have playing corporate scumbag?
Man, if you need a corporate scumbag, but overall nice guy, friend of the podcast, John C. McGinley is the way to go. You can hear, I'm thinking like Highlander 2 kind of scumbag, Point Break. Yeah.
Yeah. So he was in 42, Wall Street, Point Break, 7, The Rock, all movies we've done here at Matinee Heroes. So go to matineeheroes.com and go into the archives, and you can listen to all those. But also head over to Everything I Learned from Movies, where they have not one, but 2 interviews with him. Is that right?
Just one with him. Several with other friend of the podcast, Dana Gould.
Oh, shut up about Dana Gould. God damn it.
What about Ted McGinley, though?
Let's see, Thomas Jane. I mean, we have a lot over there. Just go over to Everything I Learned from Movies, after this and check it out.
I'm not too worried. Thomas Jane's career's over, so that's not a problem.
That's why he had time for us.
That's exactly why. Man
No Ted McGinley?
He doesn't even have time to buy shoes, so how would he have time to talk to you guys? But Carrie, who keeps trying to say Ted McGinley.
I did.
Wasn't he in Happy Days, the original Happy?
Yeah.
Revenge of the Nerds.
Yeah. So, Carrie, who do you have as the corporate scumbag?
I was trying to go with somebody who is a comedian who can play serious roles as well. Somebody who's super, super funny and talented. And you don't really see him a lot playing this kind of role, but I think he could really do it. Just like Paul Reiser back in the day. I went with Jason Sudeikis.
Oh, absolutely. If you saw the sketch on Saturday Night Live where it was him and Kristen Wiig, they played douchebags.
Mm-hmm.
They were just awful people. I could see him doing it easily. But he is the Midwest folk hero that is Ted Lasso. Horrible Bosses, We're the Millers. He did play kind of a bad guy on Colossal.
Yeah, right.
And of course, Saturday Night Live shows if he's going to dance, that's what you want. You want Jason Sudeikis. So we have John C. McGinley, Jason Sudeikis. The judges went with Jason, and Carrie Gordon gets a point, and he's on the board.
I'm on the board. All right.
Good choice.
Thank you, Jason.
I went with Thomas Sadowski, who? Yes, if you see him, he is on that show with James Brolin and Diane Wiest and Colin Hanks, and he plays and he was on like the network. I think he was on that show with
the Newsroom.
The Newsroom, where he played kind of a douchey guy, but he's just gonna play that kind of douche canoe. All right. Well, next we get Lance Henriksen, who is the clam chowder-filled robot that is Bishop. So you like that one, Steve?
Very good.
So who do you have that is going to be spewing mucus and milk all over the
Wait a
stage?
minute, next or is Carrie next?
Oh, Carrie goes first. There we go. I can do this. Watch this. Boom. Carrie. Who do you have playing Bishop the robot?
I tried to select. I was thinking about this one. I was trying to find an actor who is very robot in his performances, but he's also a badass. I went with Daniel Craig.
Daniel Craig, who he's a robot during James Bond at times. But he's also the starter of the weekend. Bond movies, we've seen him in Knives Out, Road to Perdition, Layer Cake, Cowboys and Aliens, which was a controversial movie because we liked the Cowboys part, but the Aliens part sucked.
So, at least he got paid for it.
Oh, he got paid.
Exactly.
Boy got paid. So who do you have to go up against James Bond?
I mean, possibly the greatest living actor. He's already got the same kind of hairline and stuff as Bishop. He knows how to be calm and collected and then just freak out towards the end of the movie. Of course, it's Sir Nicolas Cage.
Yes, I even tried to find a picture so we'd have dueling blue shirts.
Well, there we go.
He's known as being crazy AF, but he can tone it down for Pig. But then, of course, Face Off, he is at his full caginess. Raising Arizona, where we first saw him, but then he tones it down for Kick-Ass. But then he's also got his own little noir Spider-Man and Into the Spider-Verse.
Look at that chest hair. Ooh.
I know. Well, yeah, it's Nicolas Cage. All his hair is on his chest. The stuff that's on his head, most of that is not his. I think he bought it with some elephant bones. So
his Superman #1 copy.
So we have Daniel Craig versus Nicolas Cage. Probably the most difficult choice of the evening. We went with Daniel Craig, and Carrie has tied it up. I went with Benjamin Cumberbatch because I think he could be a perfect robot.
Wait a minute. Is that how it's spelled?
Yeah. Oh, it's Benjamin Cumberbatch.
Okay.
Yep, absolutely.
Got it.
So
that's the fancy version.
Yes, exactly. I mean, it's Cumbersnatch. It's Ben Hunt. Yeah, it's all kinds of things. So let's get to Newt, played by Carrie Henn, in her only role. She did this role, was really good as Newt, and then decided to give up acting for 35 years and did like a cameo in a person's movie for that goes unsung. So, Steve, who do you have playing the young girl that is kind of? I almost thought in the movie she befriended one of the aliens, because it seemed like that one's she's just kind of hanging out with him, and she's the only one that can survive.
Well, if there was ever a child actress that could befriend an alien and also kind of be a badass, I went, of course, with a very young Drew Barrymore.
Absolutely. She known for her troubled youth, unfortunately. She being addicted to alcohol at 14. That's never good. But she was lovely as my. Every time I watch E.T., I think of my dog, Gertrude, because she played Gertie. The most horrible name you can name a child, but a fun name to name a dog. She was in Firestarter, Irreconcilable Differences, Cat's Eye, and Altered States. These are all pre-14-year-old Drew Barrymore. So you've got probably one of the best child actors in the history of the world. Carrie, who are you going to go get?
Oh, wow. Drew Barrymore. Okay. So I went with somebody. She's a little bit older now, but she had a lot of great roles, and she kicked ass in a lot of these roles. I went with a younger Chloe Grace Moretz.
Ah, yes.
That was my number 2.
Yep.
Good choice.
She's known for tough characters like in Kick-Ass, and then she played a little vampire girl in Let Me In.
Mm-hmm.
Then she had to play, I guess it would have been Robert De Niro's part in Hugo, because it was Martin Scorsese. Then she was the little girl in The Equalizer, and then as she got older, she played Carrie in the remake.
Not me, but the movie.
Yeah, no, RRIE. That's why we put it up there, because I don't want anybody to think no one could put. They're uncastable. So we have Drew Barrymore, Chloe Grace Moretz, and the judges decided, after long deliberations, Drew Barrymore. So Steve takes the lead back. I went with Grace McKenna. She's such a cute little kid. She's the only good thing about Ghostbusters Afterlife, as far as I'm concerned. So we'll just move on from that. All right. Well, now we get to the worst guy to have in a foxhole with you, played by one of the greatest actors of all time. It's the magnificent Bill Paxton as Hudson. Now, when Alan and I did Aliens for the podcast way back in 2017, Bill had just passed away, and we had decided that we would not recast him. But that was Matinee Heroes rules. Now we are in cast-off rules, so you guys have to do the impossible and recast the great Bill Paxton as Hudson, which is this is going to be the toughest character. It may not be the toughest decision, but it was the toughest character. So, Carrie, who could possibly beat Bill Paxton?
This is one of Bill Paxton's greatest roles. He was so funny in this movie without trying to even having to try to be funny. I was looking for a comedian who is super funny, can do great voices, because Bill Paxton was playing a character in this movie. I went with a great sketch comedy actor and also a great drama actor as well, Keegan-Michael Key.
Ah, Keegan-Michael Key, absolutely. He is a multi-talented, funny man. We've seen him in Role Models and Vacation and Keanu. But he is officially in the Aliens universe because it was in The Predator. And, of course, Dolomite Is My Name. So he's very funny and very talented.
What are you saying? Dolomite Is My Name is in the Aliens universe?
Yes, I believe so.
Oh, yeah. I didn't know that. That's exciting.
It's 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon. Yeah, absolutely. So now we're going to get to Steve. Steve, who do you have to replace the great Bill Paxton?
Yeah, similar kind of criteria. Someone with great comedic timing. Also kind of a underrated just range of acting and stuff that he can do. And physically intimidating as well. I went with Vince Vaughn.
Vince Vaughn, who wishes he was Bill Murray, but he's not, because I think most of his characters think that he's too cool for school. He was in Swingers, in Rudy, the ill-fated Psycho shot-by-shot remake.
Yeah, that was weird.
He was in The Cell, and probably his greatest movie, Dodgeball, a true underdog story.
Oh, yeah.
Vince Vaughn. So we have Keegan-Michael Key, Vince Vaughn, and the judges go with Keegan-Michael Key, and we have a tie game.
Oh, my gosh.
3-3. I went with Will Arnett, and I wanted a serious Will Arnett who is still funny, because that's the key about Bill Paxton in this. It is drama. It is serious business, and he's funny, but he's not ha-ha funny. He's being funny in the moment.
Sure.
And we don't sit there and go, oh, that's the funny guy. We just go, it makes sense. It's stress funny.
Will Arnett's a great choice, but I didn't go with him because I figured he'd be too busy.
Yeah, he does too many voice actors, and he's a podcaster, so he's got a lot on his plate.
Going into our realm.
Everywhere.
Yeah, Reese's peanut butter cups, selling Fords. All right, so we go into a tie game, and so that means we get to the final person, and the only way James Cameron can write women is to make them men. So why not just butch up actress Jeanette Goldstein, the future foster mom of John Connors, as Vasquez? And so we will start with Steve. Both of you have your own fates in your hands. So Steve, who do you have playing Vasquez?
Well, for Vasquez, we had to pick somebody who was just so badass that they make, Charlize Theron or the Sigourney, Ripley kind of, secondary in badassery. So I went with Kiwi stunt woman and actress Zoe Bell.
Ooh, Zoe Bell.
See, and I had no idea who she was.
What?
She's a stunt double and an actress. But she was in Django Unchained, The Hateful Eight, Grindhouse. But then she also was in her own movie called Angel of Death, and she appeared in that Elliot Page movie, Whip It.
Didn't she play herself in the Grindhouse movie?
She was in two of the She was in both of the Grindhouse movies, because that was a double feature thing, anthology. Did she play herself? I don't know.
She played herself in Death Proof, definitely.
That's right.
Okay, but she was also she was in both of them. So I didn't know who she was. So Carrie, who do you have to go up against Zoe Bell?
I went with an actress. She's recently been in a Disney movie, one of the most popular Disney movies ever. But her role in Brooklyn Nine-Nine is what solidified this for me. And I'm talking about StephanieBeatriz.
That's right. Underrated talent, because I only knew her from Brooklyn Nine-Nine. And the next thing I know, she's singing and dancing in The Heights. She was in Encanto. She's the main character and the main singer in Encanto. And that's her singing. I thought maybe they got a double. Apparently she and Lin-Manuel... I want to call him Manuel Noriega, but it's not. Yeah.
That's a totally different movie.
Totally different guy. They were close friends, and he wrote Encanto with her in mind. She's also starred in some small movies like The Light of the Moon and Half Magic, which nobody has heard of.
That Transformers movie?
Yeah, was she in that Transformers movie?
No, The Light of the Moon.
I don't know. That's on the dark side of the moon. Yeah. So we have Zoe Bell, StephanieBeatriz. I went with Ruby Rose, so that means there will not be a tie. That means someone is going to win. But before we do, let me remind you that we are in desperate need, as we are every week, because I've been talking about this for 6 months, and we are stuck at 80. It's like everybody. That's as many people as I know 80. So if you have any Russian bots, if you have any North Korean bots that you can get to.
Fake emails. You had your duplicate Gmails. Just log in, set up a profile for YouTube.
We don't care if you're Proud Boys or whatever. Just do it from jail. We don't care. Subscribe. Let us get the URL, and then once I give you the all clear, just go your separate ways, folks. It's just the way it is. We just need people, please. Also, we have shirts at the store. So go head over to matineeheroes.com/store. More importantly, we have an Aliens shirt, and we've had I know several people have bought this and have worn it around Comic Palooza. Yep. It's a great shirt. by our good friend Joel Micah Harris, who drew our matinee. That's Manny T. Hero, our matinee hero mascot. But we do have a game to finish. So we have Zoe Bell, StephanieBeatriz.
I'm really nervous right now.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Oh, you should, because whoever loses is going to be put to death.
Wow!
Yeah.
When did that rule start?
Oh, that when you logged in onto Zoom today, you hit that button that said with the check mark. That's what that was. You agreed to the. So you have to start, folks. Read the agreement.
We're going to begin like a human centipede, iPad centipede, whatever it is.
Human centipede. Yeah.
There you go. That's what it is.
Oh, gross. As long as I'm at the front, I don't care. I guess it's like the worst colonoscopy you could ever get. It's just like have to go through 2 other people. Oh.
The middleman
and
there.
On that segue, what's the result?
Well, you certainly know how to build tension, Carrie. And we have Zoe Bell, StephanieBeatriz. The judges hemmed and hawed and said, "Who are these 2? I'm not sure. Let me Google them." And they went with StephanieBeatriz and Carrie Gordon. You are today's winner. And with that,
God.
You have today's final thought.
Oh, wow. Now you put me on the stop.
Yeah, that's what happens when you're the winner.
Well, thank you for having me on. Aliens is actually one of my favorite all-time movies. It's one of the rare movies that's almost better, but not as good as the original, if you know what I mean.
It's a different movie. It's a totally different genre.
It's taking a great horror movie, making it into an action-adventure movie with horror elements. I mean, they really knocked it out of the park, and I was happy to be part of this. I was happy with my choices. Steve had great choices as well. But yeah, man, thank you again.
Well, again, that is the Metal Geeks podcast, as you can see over his shoulder. But the show must go on, and that means we're still going on for next week. And how do you top a thing like Aliens? Well, first off, you got to bring some of our favorites back. So what we're going to do is we're bringing one of the judges that we all know and love, Elizabeth Rapp. She's going up against the visually stunning movie podcast's Mark Woodring, and they're going to recast the greatest movie in history. That's right, Raiders of the Lost Ark. This is going to be super difficult because, let's be honest, there is nobody who could be Indiana Jones besides Harrison Ford. And Elizabeth and Mark, from what I understand, are both in love with Harrison Ford. So this is going to be very difficult.
Please, no Chris Pratt.
No Chris Pratt. Oh, I think I'll deduct points if they do that. They're not watching because this is not out yet. So if you want to be on the show, you can be. It's so simple. Just go to matineeheroes.com/castoff/application, and you can see us there. And also you can. Why is my volume always this time of the show? Everything gets really low for some reason. I have to check that out. But we get the matineeheroes.com/castoff/application to fill out the application. mhcastoff@gmail.com. You can watch us on the Castoff Show. Matinee Heroes has a Facebook group, and we're also at matineeheroes.com/castoff, where you can find the YouTube feed or the twitch.tv Matinee Heroes feed. Special thanks to Brendan Agnew and Elizabeth Rapp. And on behalf of Steve Condrick and today's winner, of course, the great Carrie Gordon, my name is Craig Price. You're watching the Castoff. We'll see you next week.
Night, everybody. Sorry if you put the bed now.
Sorry about that, man.
No worries.